Ukraine at this stage is about to modernize and overhaul its agriculture sector. And this includes new policies, new frameworks, and new supporting environment. FAO at this stage supports, in collaboration with the international community, the government and the country in its efforts. The smallholders have a very important share in the Ukrainian agriculture production. Did you know that 80% of the fruits and vegetables or 90% of the dairy products are produced by smallholders? So with this figure, it really confirms that they are important. On the other hand, they are facing serious problems in terms of access to the markets. They have access problems with inputs. They require also increased infrastructure. And in this context, it's really good news that the government of Ukraine has decided to support also smallholders and not just to focus on the large-scale farmers. So this, I think, will be giving the Ukrainian agriculture a further boost in its development. The situation in the conflict area is very difficult. So I think the farmers are facing various challenges. In the area of the government-controlled districts, the farmers have lost their markets to Russia and also to the Donetsk and Luhansk district. While in the non-government controlled area, where the farmers are facing the challenges that they have lost the market to the Ukrainian domestic environment and they are not able to export internationally. In addition, in the non-government controlled area, there are difficulties also related to inputs, and therefore it means there are no fertilizers or there are limited fertilizers, and that makes farming difficult, and farming is on the downside. This, as a consequence, has resulted in the fact that we have an increase of household and backyard production in order to cope with the challenges and in order to provide also income for the farmers. Another factor which is also disturbing from the point of view of FAO is the issue of imbalanced diets and also a decrease in protein intake by the population due to increase of problems with access to income and to particular relevant balanced diets. Important in this case is to note that FAO supports the situation. We are supporting the farmers with live chickens as an income generating opportunity, but also with inputs such as seeds and fertilizer. Ukraine is not alone. Also, Europe has a problem with oversupply of milk and with a downturn of farm gate prices. The problem certainly of Ukraine is productivity. If we take as an example that Ukrainian production per cow and per year is 4,900, and on the other hand we have Europe in the average 7,900, or the United States even 10,000, then there is a need to increase the productivity. That certainly requires investment into infrastructure. There is a need for better breeding material. There is a need for increase of good quality sperm bank, sperm material, so artificial insemination. And the problem for Ukrainian farmers is to afford this, to make this investment, and for that there is a need for access to rural finance or to financing possibilities. On the other hand, I have to say that Ukraine has a great potential also still, because the average consumption of milk per capita is 220, while in the EU it's 260, and if you take, for example, Finland, which has up to 360 kilogram of milk consumption per year, there is also still potential for domestic demand, but of course there is also a situation for increasing access to other international markets. And FAO in this case supports Ukraine to explore also new markets. So I would see there is a potential to develop the sector further. Ukraine has a problem in terms of environment, particularly related to agriculture. There is issue of land degradation and also erosion. Erosion with wind, but also erosion with water. In addition, Ukraine has polluted soils and also polluted waters. This has to do, of course, also with the improper management of sewer, but also with inappropriate application of pesticides, as well as using illegal pesticides. Ukraine is a big market for illegal pesticides. In addition, there is certainly also a problem because irrigation infrastructure is outdated and would require renewal investments into newer technology. I think it's important that Ukraine will prepare a strategy for climate change adaptation and mitigation in order to address environmental issue. FAO helps the country in this context to support them in climate smart agriculture, as well as also in the management of land, such as conservation agriculture, in order to minimize the implications on the environment and to increase sustainable management of natural resources. In terms of food security, micronutrition deficiency in Ukraine is a serious issue. But Ukraine is not alone. The other European countries are facing similar problems. To give you an example, Ukraine, we have 50% of the population are facing overweight and being obese, and that seriously affects also public health. Public health in the sense because it can cause non-communicable diseases, and this has enormous costs also for the society in order to cope with such a situation. Another issue which is also serious is that there are vitamin A deficiencies in the population of Ukraine, and more important also anemia among children. Anemia among children certainly has long-term effects, and FAO supports Ukraine in nutrition environment with a school, the conceptualization of a school food and nutrition program in order to overcome already among children and pupils the situation of undernutrition. Very positive. Ukraine has 30% of the world's black soil reserves. Only this fact provides already a great potential for the agricultural development in Ukraine. We talked before about markets, but I think the agribusiness, the environment, production, all in that sense is positive. Though Ukraine certainly also need to stay competitive. So they would need, in that sense, infrastructure, they need storage facilities. But I feel with that potential and with the need for an increased food production globally, there is a great potential for Ukrainian agriculture. What is certainly also important is that not only large-scale farm should be supported, it's important that also small-scale farming and smallholders are supported, because it's important to have also lively rural areas. It's important to have also a future for young people, and only large-scale farms may result in deserting rural areas, as we can see it also in other countries. So I think the government has to put its emphasis on providing an adequate policy framework. It may result in the fact that there is further need for privatization of state enterprises, and there might be also the need for downsizing the Ministry of Agriculture in order to reduce it really to its policy function. But this does not give it does not take any positive direction from the development of the agriculture in Ukraine away. And I think taking the challenges of 9 billion people by 2050, Ukraine will be one of the key players, and the world is counting on Ukraine's contribution to this issue.